Every accounting guru tells you that you need to get your CPA to become an accountant and have a successful accounting career. But as someone who has worked in accounting for over 10 years now, I am here to tell you that that is simply not true. You do not need a CPA. You do not need a master's in accounting. You just need to know the right steps to take to get your first accounting job. And that is exactly what we are going to go over in this video today. Hi, my name is Kelly Randolph. Like I mentioned, I've worked in accounting for over 10 years now. I have worked for both Fortune 200 and Fortune 500 companies, and I have also worked for both public and private companies. And I am currently a financial reporting manager. Before we dive too deep into this video, I quickly wanted to talk about why accounting is still a great career choice. Reason number one, there's a ton of job security in accounting. Even in the era of AI, all companies need accountants. I recently made a video diving more into this topic, so if you're interested to hear more about my opinion on accounting and AI, definitely check this video here, but not until the one you are watching is done. The second reason is because accounting pays really well. If you want to earn over six figures, you can definitely do that working in accounting. And the third reason is there's a ton of job opportunities and career growth in accounting. Now, in addition to talking about why accounting is still a great career choice, I quickly wanted to dispel some very bad accounting career advice. Anyone who tells you that you need a CPA to become an accountant is wrong. When you are first starting your accounting career, you absolutely do not need a CPA. Take myself for example. I am a financial reporting manager and I do not have my CPA yet. A CPA becomes beneficial as you want to continue to progress into your career into positions like a director of accounting, for example. To reach those higher levels, you most likely will need your CPA. However, when you are first starting your career, you definitely do not need your CPA to get an entry-level accounting job. The next question I get asked a lot is, do you need a master's of accounting to work as an accountant? Similarly, the answer is no. You do not need a master's of accounting to be an accountant. Now that we got that out of the way, let's get into the steps that you need to take to get your first accounting position. Step number one, you need to get a bachelor's degree in accounting. Now, some of you are going to say, I know so-and-so and they work in accounting and they do not have a bachelor's degree in accounting. Maybe they have a bachelor's degree in finance or a bachelor's degree in some other major. And yes, there are exceptions to the rule, but generally speaking, if you want to work in accounting, you should have a bachelor's degree in accounting. For example, if you log onto LinkedIn and you type in entry-level accountant or staff accounting position, typically when you look through the job posting requirements, it will require a bachelor's degree in accounting. So to make it easier on yourself, just start out with a bachelor's degree in accounting. Now, I know some of you watching have probably already graduated and maybe you don't have a bachelor's degree in accounting, or maybe you have already started your career and now you want to switch into an accounting role. In those instances, you can definitely still be an accountant, but the strategy will be slightly different. The second thing you should do to set yourself up for success is try to get an internship while you're still in college. This is going to be beneficial for your resume by having some form of prior accounting experience. However, if you have already graduated or are close to graduating and you do not get an internship yet, it is not the end of the world. You can still get an accounting position without having had an internship. You just really have to emphasize your transferable skills when writing your resume. Which brings me to the third step, which is writing a strong resume. Here's an example of what a strong resume looks like. As you can see, it is very cleanly formatted. It has a professional summary. It lists some academic projects that you have worked on as a student, and then it goes over your experience. You can see that all the bullet points end in a period. That is a common mistake that a lot of people make on their resumes. One bullet point will have a period and one bullet point will not. So you just want to make sure the formatting is consistent all the way through your resume. I highly recommend adding a professional summary. It is a nice way to summarize your experience and highlight your transferable skills, as well as stating the type of position you are looking for. So you can see in this example, I wrote detail-oriented accounting graduate seeking a staff accountant position, where I can apply my accounting knowledge and Excel skills to support and add value to the accounting team. I have strong time management and communication skills, enabling me to stay organized, meet deadlines, and perform effectively in a fast-paced environment. So this is an example of a professional summary that you can modify to fit your own experience. In addition, another tip when writing your resume is when you are going through your experience, you want to write your experience through an accounting lens. For example, as you can see in this particular resume, the position that the college student worked at was a server. Instead of saying I serve tables, they wrote that they manage multiple tables simultaneously in a fast-paced environment while maintaining accuracy and delivering a high level of customer service in this example. So that would be a good way to emphasize that they are capable of working in a fast-paced environment and they have accuracy, which is two common transferable skills that accounting positions look for. I highly recommend if you are writing your resume for the first time, definitely check out my resume video here. It's great for anyone who is writing their first accounting resume. In addition, you are able to download this resume template that we are looking at right now. The fourth thing you need to do when you are finished writing your resume is begin applying to accounting jobs. Not all accounting jobs are created equally, and when you are first starting out, you want to be strategic in how you navigate your career. When you are in college, oftentimes teachers talk about going the Big Four route and choosing between being an auditor or working in tax. And that is definitely a career path you can take, but it is certainly not the only career path. However, if you do want to go the Big Four route, I highly suggest that you work as an auditor opposed to working in tax. And that is because if you choose going the audit route, you will gain more broad and transferable experience compared to working in tax, where the experience you gain may be more specialized and niche. The other route you could go, though, is working in corporate. That is a really good option as well. If you decide to go the corporate route, a few tips I have would be try and work for a large public company or a well-known company in your area. The reason is because large public companies have really good processes and procedures in place. Oftentimes when you are working for a smaller company or a startup company, the procedures may be less defined, and you may be responsible for creating the processes. That is fine if you are a seasoned accountant, but as a new accountant, to set yourself up for the most success, it is better if you are learning from a more established company. Another reason is because large public companies have more defined departments as well. For instance, they most likely have a financial reporting team, a corporate accounting team, a consolidations team, an accounts payable team, an accounts receivable team, and a payroll department, for example. So if you are hired to work in corporate accounting, you will be doing corporate accounting tasks. However, a lot of times smaller or startup companies don't have as defined departments. So you may be hired to work as an accountant, but end up also doing accounts payable tasks, accounts receivable tasks, and maybe even payroll tasks. The other benefit to working at a large public company or a well-known company in your area is it gives your resume brand recognition. So let's decide you no longer want to work at that company anymore. When you go to apply for your next position, the hiring manager at the new company will be familiar with your previous company and will associate your experience working at the large, well-known public company in your area favorably. In addition, when applying to your first accounting position, I recommend either applying for corporate accounting roles or financial reporting roles. The reason is because this will provide you well-rounded accounting experience, where you will be working on a variety of things. For instance, if you work in financial reporting, you'll be working with the financial statements, helping prepare the balance sheet, the income statement, various footnotes, and tie-outs. In addition, you may also be helping with account reconciliations, preparing certain types of journal entries, possibly related to debt and equity, for example. And you'll also most likely be helping do various types of variance analysis. If you work in corporate accounting, you will also most likely be responsible for doing different types of journal entries, account reconciliations, and variance analysis as well. Therefore, working in either of these positions will give you a very solid accounting foundation, where you can continue to build your accounting career off of. You want to look for roles that give you more broad experience opposed to pigeonholing your career too early on. Obviously, though, the most important thing is just getting your foot in the door. For example, I wasn't able to get the position that I am recommending here. In fact, I couldn't even get an accounting job. When I first graduated college with a bachelor's degree in accounting, I was applying to every accounting position that I could find. I was getting interviews, but I kept getting rejected because I did not have any accounting experience. When I was in college, I did not do any internships. Instead, I worked at a bar. And although I enjoyed working there, it made it much harder to obtain an accounting job after college, which is why I highly recommend, if you are still in college, definitely try to get an accounting internship. After constantly getting rejected, I was extremely frustrated. So instead of just continually applying to more accounting positions just so I can get rejected more, I decided to try and get an accounting adjacent position so I could just get my foot in the door. So I applied to an accounts payable role and I got the job. I was super excited about finally being able to start my corporate career. And while I was working in accounts payable, I networked with the accounting team and I let the accounting managers know at the company that I was working for that I had a bachelor's degree in accounting, and I was super interested in getting an accounting job if an accounting role became available. Well, luckily for me, about a year later into my career, an accounting role did become available, and the accounting manager asked me if I would be interested in the position. I definitely was interested in the position, and I was able to do an internal transfer from my accounts payable job to a staff accounting role working at a construction company. The reason I mention this is because I did not work for a large public company and I was not getting broad general accounting experience. I was working as a staff accountant in a cost accounting role, learning a lot about different types of construction cost. Although I really liked working in that position, I realized I was starting to pigeonhole my experience and I wanted to gain more general accounting experience working more with the financial statements. So I decided to get a new job at a Fortune 500 company working as a staff accountant on the financial reporting team. The rest is kind of history. I now make over 6 figures and I'm a financial reporting manager. I did not have the perfect accounting start. I do not have my CPA. I did not get a master's in accounting, but my career is going really well so far and I am very proud of it. So although I am listing the ideal steps to take, these are certainly not the only steps to take that will get you an accounting position. The 5th step to getting an accounting job is interviewing well. I'm planning on making a more in-depth video on this topic, so definitely subscribe to my channel if you are interested in that. A few tips for interviewing well though are: show up to the interview professionally. Be able to answer the question, why do you want to work for this company? Fill in the blank. This applies to whatever company you are interviewing at. Be able to articulately walk through your resume experience. And be able to answer the question, what are your top 3 strengths and what are your top 3 weaknesses? You may not be asked this question, but it is good to familiarize yourself with what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. However, never say anything bad about yourself when you are saying what your weakness is. For example, never say, I'm constantly late and I have trouble showing up to work on time. Instead, you could say something like you are a perfectionist and you like to review your work multiple times to ensure that it has no errors on it, which you recognize can take more time. So you are working on reviewing your work one time and then feeling confident in your review and moving forward to your next task. Once you have completed all these steps successfully, you should have your first accounting job offer. So hopefully you found this video helpful. And if you need help with your accounting career, I now created an accounting career starter program. So if that is something you are interested in, definitely check the link in my bio. In this program, we talk about your specific goals. We work on your resume together so that way you can feel confident when applying to your first accounting position. And then once you do get an interview, we will go over practice interviews and making sure that you are interviewing well to get your first accounting job. I also do offer one-on-one consults, so if you would prefer that, check the link in the description as well. If you have any questions, definitely leave them in the comments below. The majority of my video ideas come directly from your questions. Hope you have a great day and see you in the next video.